3,000 years before any clinical trial, Scripture named 8 foods for healing the body. Today, one has shown a 36% reduction in arterial plaque. Another contains a compound that kills drug-resistant bacteria in the lab. These aren't fringe claims. This is peer-reviewed science finally catching up to what was written millennia ago. The ancient world preserved them. We forgot them. And the evidence starts with your heart. Pomegranate has long stood as a symbol of health and abundance, its seeds woven into ancient rituals and texts. In modern clinics, its reputation is being tested with scientific rigor. One study tracked adults with atherosclerosis who drank 50 milliliters of concentrated pomegranate juice daily. After a year, ultrasound scans showed a 35% reduction in carotid artery wall thickness, a marker for arterial plaque. That figure, published in 2004, quickly caught the attention of cardiologists and the public alike. While the study's small size and lack of a placebo group called for caution, the results sparked a wave of research. Larger trials have since reported smaller effects, and not every review finds the same dramatic benefit. Yet, a consistent thread remains. Pomegranate's polyphenols, especially punicalagin, lower oxidative stress and improve cholesterol profiles. The fruit that once adorned the garments of ancient priests now finds its place in the hands of researchers searching for ways to slow the march of heart disease. Olive oil's story is equally enduring. Revered in Scripture as fuel for the temple and a symbol of purity, it now draws scientific interest for its anti-inflammatory power. In 2005, researchers at the Monell Chemical Senses Center pinpointed oleocanthal, the compound behind olive oil's peppery bite, as a natural inhibitor of the same enzymes targeted by ibuprofen. The more pungent the oil, the stronger its effect. The pre-dimed trial in Spain, one of the largest dietary studies to date, followed over 7,000 adults at high cardiovascular risk. Those who added 4 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil daily saw a 30% drop in major cardiovascular events and deaths. Regulatory agencies now permit health claims linking olive oil to reduced heart disease risk. Recent studies even suggest a protective role against Alzheimer's, hinting at benefits that reach beyond the heart. These foods, chosen centuries ago, continue to shape the science of prevention. King Hezekiah's illness is remembered not just for its drama, but for the remedy prescribed, a cake of figs pressed to his boil. The story tucked into the book of 2 Kings hints at an ancient trust in the healing power of plants, a trust that science is now beginning to test. In modern labs, researchers have isolated phycin, a proteolytic enzyme, from fig latex. When exposed to methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, MRSA, phycin attacks the bacteria's biofilm, stripping away its defenses. In vitro, phycin has reduced MRSA colony counts by several orders of magnitude, a result that has caught the attention of microbiologists. Yet these findings are confined to petri dishes. No clinical trial has proven that figs or phycin can cure infections in humans. The leap from biblical narrative to medical evidence is rarely simple, but the parallels are striking. Garlic's reputation as a healer stretches across centuries and continents. Known as Russian penicillin, garlic was prized not just for flavor, but for its supposed ability to ward off illness.
Ancient texts recall the Israelites longing for garlic in Egypt, perhaps for its taste, perhaps for its strength. Today, nearly 40 randomized controlled trials have tested garlic's effect on blood pressure. The results are consistent. Raw garlic supplements lower systolic blood pressure by about 5 millimeters of mercury and diastolic by 2 or 3.
Allicin, released when garlic is crushed, disrupts bacterial membranes and shows laboratory activity against resistant pathogens. Still, allicin's potency fades quickly, and preparation methods matter. Health agencies note that high doses can interact with blood thinners, a reminder that natural does not always mean harmless. Ancient remedies and modern research now meet at a crossroads. Figs and garlic, once symbols of faith and survival, are being re-examined with scientific rigor. Their stories remind us that the search for natural defenses against infection is as old as recorded history, and still far from over. Frankincense was once reserved for the holiest spaces in ancient Israel. The smoke of this resin, rising from the altar, carried prayers and symbolized purification. Today, that same resin, harvested from boswellia trees, has drawn the attention of scientists searching for new ways to calm inflammation and even fight cancer. The heart of frankincense's power lies in boswellic acids, and one compound in particular is called AKBA. In laboratory experiments, AKBA disrupts the machinery cancer cells use to survive, triggering a cascade that leads to programmed cell death. At Johns Hopkins, researchers have traced these effects through a series of molecular checkpoints, watching as AKBA blocks the NF-kappa B pathway, one of the key routes cancer cells use to resist treatment. In cell cultures, the concentrations needed for this effect are measured in micromoles, with apoptosis rates rising sharply as the dose increases. While these results are promising, most of the evidence remains in the realm of the petri dish. Human trials are rare, and no regulatory body has approved frankincense as a cancer therapy. Still, the convergence of ancient ritual and modern molecular biology is striking. Hyssop's story is more humble, but no less intriguing. Named in the Passover instructions as the herb for ritual cleansing, hyssop became a symbol of spiritual and physical purity. In recent years, essential oils distilled from hyssop have been tested against bacteria and viruses in laboratory settings. Researchers have measured the minimum inhibitory concentration, the lowest dose needed to halt bacterial growth, against strains like Staphylococcus aureus. In one study, a solution of 0.5% hyssop oil was enough to reduce bacterial counts by over 90% within half an hour. The same oils have shown antiviral activity, though the effect varies by species and preparation. The respiratory benefits of hyssop are now being explored in small clinical trials. In a pilot study on chronic sinusitis, participants inhaled nebulized hyssop oil daily for 4 weeks. Symptom scores, measured by the SNOT-22 questionnaire, improved by an average of 12 points, enough to be noticed in daily life. While these numbers are drawn from limited samples, they echo the ancient belief that certain plants could cleanse not just the body, but the very breath itself. The rituals of incense and cleansing herbs, once seen as mere symbolism, now reveal layers of biological activity that science is only beginning to understand. At the heart of the Passover meal, bitter herbs were not just a ritual food, but a lived reminder of hardship. The sharp taste, taken in with unleavened bread, was meant to be felt in the body as much as remembered in the mind. Today, researchers are uncovering how these bitter greens, often wild lettuces, dandelion or chicory, do more than provoke memory. In controlled studies, a single dose of a dandelion bitter tincture increased gallbladder ejection fraction by over 20%, a measurable boost in bile flow that aids digestion and supports liver function. The mechanism lies in compounds like sesquiterpene lactones, which stimulate receptors in the gut and trigger the release of digestive juices. For ancient Israel, the bitterness was a sign of bondage. For modern scientists, it is a clue to the body's own capacity for renewal. The biblical story does not end with bitterness. In the final vision of Scripture, the book of Revelation describes a tree of life whose leaves are for the healing of the nations. Early Christian writers saw in this image the promise of restoration, a world made whole. Modern nutritionists, too, are turning their attention to the healing power of leaves and leafy greens. In large cohort studies, people who eat 2 or more servings of dark leafy vegetables daily experience a 30% lower risk of age-related macular degeneration. The science points to compounds like sulforaphane, abundant in cruciferous greens, which increases the activity of detoxification enzymes by more than 20% in human trials. Chlorophyll, the pigment that gives greens their color, acts as an antioxidant and may improve oxygenation in tissues, including the retina. Even the nitrates found in spinach and kale convert in the body to nitric oxide, supporting healthy blood flow and vascular function. The journey from bitter herbs to healing leaves traces a path from suffering to restoration, both in the biblical imagination and in the laboratory. What was once a taste of affliction now points toward the promise of healing, a reminder that the foods of Scripture were chosen not only for memory, but for the renewal of life itself. Today, laboratories confirm what ancient texts preserved. These foods were not chosen by accident. As chronic disease rises and diets drift from their roots, the question endures: are we neglecting what was designed for our healing? Sometimes the wisdom we need is already at the table.